Chomp, chomp, chomp. I read a Reddit AMA by a woman whose face was eaten by a bear in the mountains. She spent some time with her head inside the bear's mouth, thinking. She looked into the bear's eyes and found its expression to be utterly bland. Then, with her face hanging off, she drove herself to the fire station. She walked in and said, "Honey, I'm home." She didn't want to scare them, so she made a joke. She knew she looked like a monster. The hardest part, she said, was not having her face eaten by a bear. The hardest part was the endless circular phone calls with her health insurance company, was the full-time job of managing the admin of having had your face eaten by a bear, was realizing there was no collective moral or practical responsibility for the recovery of her, a woman who had been literally mauled by a bear. The lack of resources, the labyrinth of dead ends, imparted this message to her. No one cares. You are alone. You are a monster. We are shocked that a woman's face was eaten by a bear. It is our worst fear for a bear to eat our face in the mountains. I have 2 daughters myself, so it's really scary. In fact, generally speaking, we are almost pathologically obsessed with the prospect of women's faces being eaten by bears in the mountains, but this regrettably does not translate to being in any way prepared to look after women who survive their faces being eaten by bears in the mountains. That will be $300,000. I found this story instructive, comforting. I think about it all the time, the fact that she wrote it. All we have is each other. As I fry the sausages for breakfast, I scrape the salty caramel from the bottom of the pan and eat it with a teaspoon. There is life after.